The ship hung in the darkness above Earth like a metal moon. It was so large that it blocked the stars. Inside, creatures with 6 legs and hard shells watched screens filled with images of the blue planet below. Overseer Vreth clicked his mandibles together. He had collected species from 10,000 worlds. He had seen creatures with claws that could cut through steel. He had captured beasts with venom that could melt bone. But he had never seen anything quite like the creatures on this small wet planet. What are they called? He asked his chief scientist. The locals call themselves humans, the scientist replied. They are strange. Strange how? The scientist pulled up images on the screen. Humans walking. Humans eating. Humans sleeping in their soft beds in their fragile homes. They have no natural weapons, the scientist explained. No claws. No fangs worth mentioning. Their skin is soft and tears easily. They cannot run fast. They cannot see well in darkness. They cannot hear like other predators. By all measures, they should have died out long ago. Vreth leaned closer to the screen. Yet they cover their entire planet. Yes, we believe they survived through pure luck and high birth rates. Like insects. They breed fast enough to replace their losses. Vreth made a sound that was almost like laughter. Perfect. The menagerie needs more prey species. The visitors grow bored of watching the same creatures run and hide. These humans will be a fine addition. He gave the order. The collection began. Kang Taio was sleeping when they took him. One moment he was in his bed in his small apartment in Bizin. The next moment, blue light filled his room. His body went stiff. He could not move. He could not scream. He could only watch as the ceiling opened up and he floated towards something cold and dark. Taiho had served 15 years in the Special Forces. He had seen combat. He had faced death many times. But nothing had prepared him for this. When he woke up, he was in a glass box. The walls were smooth and clear. Beyond them, he could see other boxes. Other people. All of them human. All of them terrified. He counted 47 people in total. A woman in the box next to his was pounding on the glass. She was yelling, but he could not hear her. The boxes were SOUNDPRO. Then the aliens came. They walked on 6 legs. Their bodies were covered in dark shells that looked like armor. Their heads had no eyes that Taiho could recognize, just clusters of small dots that seemed to sense movement. They carried tools that looked like medical instruments. One of them approached his box. It pressed something on the wall, and suddenly Taiho could hear everything. The screaming, the crying, the desperate prayers in a dozen different languages. The alien spoke. Its voice was translated by a small device on its chest. Do not be afraid, it said. You will not be harmed. You are now property of the Velith Dominion. You will be transported to our finest exhibition center. You will be fed. You will be cared for. You will live out your natural lives in comfort. Taiho stared at the creature. His fear was fading now. Something else was taking its place. Something cold and patient. What are we to you? He asked. The alien tilted its head. You are exhibits, curiosities. Your species is unusual. Soft prey that somehow built cities. Our visitors will find you amusing. The alien moved on to the next box. In a box across the room. Park Yuna was trying to stay calm. She was a trauma surgeon. She had seen people die on her table. She had held beating hearts in her hands. She knew how to control her fear, but this was different. She watched the aliens move through the room. She studied them. The way they walked, the way they gestured, the sounds they made to each other. She was already learning. Near her, a young man was having a panic attack. He was maybe 20 years old, with short black hair and the build of an athlete. His name was Li Jinho. though she did not know this yet. He was slamming his fist against the glass until his knuckles bled. Yuna caught his eye. She pressed her palm flat against the glass. She mouthed the words, "Breathe. Slow. Breathe." It took time, but eventually he stopped hitting the glass. He pressed his own palm against the barrier. His chest was still heaving, but he was trying Dot in another box. Kim Somi was doing what she always did. She was observing. Somi was a wildlife biologist. She had spent her career studying apex predators: lions, tigers, wolves, sharks. She knew how they hunted. She knew how they thought. She knew what made them dangerous. And she knew that these aliens had made a terrible mistake. They thought humans were prey because humans had no claws, no fangs, no armor. But Somi knew the truth. She knew that humans were the most successful predators Earth had ever produced. Every large predator on every continent had learned to fear humans. Not because humans were strong or fast, but because humans were patient. Humans could track prey for days without rest. Humans could adapt to any environment. Humans could work together in ways no other species could match. The aliens saw softness. Somi saw something else. She saw survivors. The ship began to move. Through the glass walls, Taiho could see stars sliding past. Earth was getting smaller. Soon it was just a blue dot. Then it was gone. A voice came through speakers in every box. "Attention, specimens. You are being transported to the menagerie of conquered worlds. Travel time will be approximately 30 standard cycles. Food and water will be provided. Waste will be removed automatically. Do not attempt to damage your containers. Do not attempt to harm the staff. Compliance will be rewarded. Resistance is pointless." The message ended. Taiho sat down on the floor of his box. He closed his eyes. He began to think. The aliens thought they had captured animals. They thought they had collected helpless creatures for their zoo. They thought humans were prey. They were wrong. Taiho had 30 cycles. 30 cycles to watch, to learn, to plan. He opened his eyes and looked at the other humans. Some were crying. Some were praying. But a few, like him, were quiet. They were watching the aliens with careful eyes. Yuna, Jinho, Somi, others whose names he did not yet. No, they were not animals. They were humans, and humans had spent 200,000 years becoming the most dangerous thing on their planet. Not through strength, not through speed, through patience, through cunning, through an absolute refusal to give up. The aliens would learn this lesson eventually. Taiho hoped he would be there to see it. The menagerie of conquered worlds was the size of a small moon. It floated in the darkness between stars, a massive metal sphere covered in lights and docking ports. Ships came and went constantly, carrying visitors from across the galaxy. Inside, there were thousands of habitats. Each one was designed to look like a piece of some distant world. Forests from planets with 3 suns. Oceans from moons made entirely of water. Deserts that glowed with strange radiation. And now, there was a piece of Earth. The humans were placed in a habitat that looked almost like home. There were trees that resembled oaks and pines. There was grass that felt real beneath their feet. There was even a small stream with clear water, but the sky was wrong. Instead of blue, they saw the inside of a dome. And beyond the dome, they saw the faces of aliens pressing against the glass, staring at them like they were animals in a cage, because that is exactly what they were. Millions of visitors came to see the new exhibit every day. They pointed at the humans with their tentacles and claws and whatever else they had. They made sounds that might have been laughter. Children of species the humans could not name pressed their faces to the glass and watched with wide, curious eyes. Look at them. a translated voice said from somewhere in the crowd. So soft. So weak. How did they ever survive on their world? Taiho heard this. He said nothing. He simply watched. The days passed slowly. The humans were fed twice a day. The food was strange but edible. Some kind of nutrient paste that tasted like nothing. Water came from the stream, which was filtered and recycled somewhere in the walls. At first, the humans were scattered, afraid, confused. They stayed in small groups or alone, sleeping in different parts of the habitat. But Taiho knew this could not last. On the 5th day, he gathered them together near the stream. All 47 of them. Some did not want to come. He went to them anyway. "We need to talk," he said. A woman with gray hair spoke up. "Talk about what?" "We are trapped." "There is nothing to talk about." "There is everything to talk about," Taiho replied. "We are alive. That means we have a chance." "A chance for what?" Jinho asked. His knuckles had healed, but his eyes still carried fear. "A chance to be stared at until we die? A chance to survive. A chance to escape. A chance to go home." Silence fell over the group. Yuna stepped forward. She had been watching the aliens closely for days, learning their patterns, their schedules, when they came to clean the habitat, when they brought food, when they turned down the lights for the night cycle. "He is right," she said. "We cannot give up. If we give up, we are already dead." One by one, the others began to nod. Not all of them. Some were too broken, too lost in despair. But enough. That night, Taiho began to teach. He started with the young ones. Jinho, a girl named Han Minji, who had been a university athlete. A man named Cho Do-hyun, who worked as a security guard before being taken. He taught them how to fight without weapons, how to use their hands and feet and elbows, how to strike fast and move away before the enemy could respond. "You are not strong enough to fight those things," Jinho said, pointing toward the aliens beyond the glass. "They have armor. They have weapons. We are not going to punch our way out," Taiho said. "We are going to think our way out. The fighting is just in case." Somi had her own lessons to teach. She gathered the adults around her and spoke about predators. Real predators. The ones she had studied back on Earth. "They think we are prey," she said, "because we do not have claws or fangs. But they do not understand what makes a predator." "What makes a predator?" someone asked. "Patience," Somi said. "Strategy. The willingness to chase your prey until it drops from exhaustion. That is what our ancestors did. They did not run faster than the animals they hunted. They simply never stopped running. For hours. For days. Until the prey collapsed." She looked at the aliens beyond the glass. "These creatures have never met anything like us. They have never faced a species that hunts through endurance, through planning, through sheer stubborn refusal to die." Meanwhile, Yuna began to organize. She identified everyone with medical knowledge. 2 nurses, a veterinarian, a man who had been a military medic. She taught them what she knew about treating injuries without proper tools. How to set broken bones. How to stop bleeding. How to keep someone alive when everything seemed hopeless. "Why do we need to know this?" the veterinarian asked. "Because something is coming," Yuna said. "I can feel it. They did not bring us here just to be looked at. There is something else. Something worse." She was right. On the 20th day, Overseer Vreth came to the human habitat. He stood on a platform above them, surrounded by guards with weapons that glowed with strange energy. He looked down at the humans with what might have been amusement. "You have been good exhibits," he said through his translator. "Our visitors are pleased. But now, it is time for something special." The humans gathered below him, looking up with wary eyes. Every cycle, We hold an event called the Survival Trial, Reth continued. It is very popular. We select certain species and release them into our grand arena. There, they demonstrate their natural behaviors, their instincts, their true nature. He paused, letting the words sink in. You have been selected for the next trial. You will be placed in the arena with 3 apex predators from 3 different worlds. Our visitors will watch as nature takes its course. Someone in the crowd began to cry. Do not be sad, Reth said. You will be remembered. Your deaths will entertain billions. That is more than most prey species can hope for. He turned to leave. Then he stopped. Oh, and one more thing. The Goroth will be among your hunters. It is the deadliest creature in our collection. Nothing has ever survived against it. You should feel honored. He walked away, his guards following behind him. The humans stood in silence for a long moment. Then Taiho spoke. Now we know what we are facing, he said. That is good. That is useful. Useful? Jinho shouted. They are going to kill us. They are going to put us in a cage with monsters and watch us die. They are going to try, Taiho said calmly. But they have made a mistake. They think they know what we are. They think we will run and scream and die like the other prey they have collected. He looked around at the group, at the fear in their eyes, at the despair. They are wrong, he said. We are not prey. We have never been prey. Every predator on our planet learned to fear us. Now, these creatures will learn the same lesson. Somi stepped forward to stand beside him. We have time, she said. Time to prepare. Time to plan. Time to become what they do not expect. Yuna joined them. We stay together, she said. We protect each other. We survive. One by one, the others began to straighten. The fear did not leave their eyes completely. Yuna did not leave there. But something else appeared there, determination, the aliens wanted to show. They wanted to see prey running and dying for their entertainment. They were going to get something very different. They had 10 days before the trial. 10 days to prepare for something. No one had ever survived. Taiho divided the humans into groups. The fighters trained in one area of the habitat, hidden from the cameras by a cluster of trees. The planners gathered near the stream, drawing maps in the dirt with sticks. The healers practiced their skills on small cuts and bruises, preparing for much worse. Everyone had a job. Everyone had a purpose. There was no room for despair anymore. Only work. Somi became their spy. She noticed that the aliens sometimes brought other creatures near the human habitat. Prisoners from other worlds. Failed experiments. Creatures too broken to display, but not dead enough to discard. One of these was different. His name was Fenric. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. He belonged to a species called the Narith, peaceful scholars who had been conquered by the Vela centuries ago. Now they served as servants and record keepers throughout the Dominion. Fenric was assigned to clean the area near the human habitat. He worked slowly, carefully, always watching the humans with something like curiosity. One day, Somi approached the glass barrier near where he worked. You watch us often, she said. Fenric looked around nervously. Speaking to exhibits was forbidden. I am sorry, he said quietly. I do not mean to offend. You do not offend me. I want to know why. Fenric was silent for a moment. Then he spoke in a low voice. You are different from other prey species. I have seen many. They arrive scared. They stay scared. They die scared. But you, he tilted his head. You are planning something. Somi smiled. We are humans. Planning is what we do. It will not matter, Fenric said sadly. The trial is designed to be impossible. The Goroth alone has killed hundreds of creatures. And there will be 2 others with it. Tell me about them." Fenric looked around again. Then he began to speak quickly. "The first is the Sketh, a serpent creature from a swamp world. It is fast and its venom can kill in seconds. It hunts by sensing body heat. You cannot hide from it." Somi listened carefully, memorizing every word. "The second is a pack of Aran, 4-legged hunters from a forest world. They hunt together like your wolves. They are smart, and they never give up once they have your scent." "And the Gorath?" Fenric shuddered. "The Gorath is from a death world, a planet so dangerous that almost nothing survives there. It has armor that can stop most weapons. It has claws that can cut through metal. It has killed everything it has ever faced. Does it have any weakness?" Fenric thought for a moment. "It is big. Very big. That means it needs a lot of energy. It cannot fight for long periods. But nothing has ever survived long enough for that to matter." Somi nodded slowly. "Thank you, Fenric. You have been very helpful." "Why are you thanking me?" "I have just told you how you will die." "No," Somi said. "You have just told me how we will win." She returned to the group with the information. They gathered in their hidden spot and began to plan. "The serpent hunts by heat," Somi explained. "That means it will always know where we are. We cannot hide from it." "Then we do not hide," Tayo said. "We let it find us. Then we kill it. How?" Jinho spoke up. "You said it is fast and has venom. But serpents on Earth have weak points. Their heads. Their necks. The soft parts behind their jaws." Somi nodded. "Fenric said this one has gills on its neck. That is how it breathes. Gills are soft tissue, vulnerable." They moved on to the Varan. "Pack hunters," Tayo said. "They will try to separate us. Surround us. Pick us off one by one. Then we stay together," Yuna said. "Or we use their tactics against them," Somi suggested. "They expect prey to run. What if we do not run? What if we chase them instead?" Do-hyun, the former security guard, raised an eyebrow. "Chase them? They are predators. They are predators who have never been hunted," Somi said. "Every creature has a fear response. Even predators. If we become the threat, their instincts will betray them. The Gorath was the hardest problem. It is too big to fight directly," Taiho admitted. "Even if all of us attacked at once, we could not bring it down quickly." "Then we do not bring it down quickly," Somi said. "We bring it down slowly." She drew a picture in the dirt. A large shape surrounded by smaller shapes. "Persistence hunting," she said. "Our ancestors used this technique for thousands of years. We cannot outrun prey, but we can outlast it. We chase it. We never let it rest. We make small wounds that bleed and slow it down. Eventually, even the strongest creature will collapse." "That could take hours," Jinho said. "Then it takes hours. Or days. We do not stop until it falls." The days passed quickly after that. Jinho led a team that made weapons from whatever they could find. They sharpened stones into blades. They made clubs from heavy branches. They created slings from torn clothing that could throw rocks with deadly accuracy. Yuna set up a medical station and trained her team to work fast. She knew there would be injuries. Maybe deaths. She prepared for the worst. Taeho drilled the fighters constantly. Attack and retreat. Never stay in one place too long. Use the environment. Use each other. The night before the trial, no one could sleep. Taeho found Jinho sitting alone by the stream, staring at the fake stars on the dome above. "Are you afraid?" Taeho asked. "Yes," Jinho admitted. "I keep thinking about my mother. She does not know where I am. She probably thinks I'm dead." Taeho sat down beside him. "Fear is good," Taeho said. "It keeps you sharp. It keeps you alive." The problem is when fear controls you. Then you make mistakes. How do you stop it from controlling you? You give yourself something else to focus on. A mission. A purpose. Something bigger than yourself. Jinho looked at him. What is your purpose? Taiho thought for a moment. To prove them wrong, he said finally. Every alien in this place thinks we are weak. They think we are nothing. They put us at the bottom of their ranking because they cannot see what we are. He picked up a stone and turned it over in his hands. Tomorrow, we show them. Not just for us. For every human who ever lived. For every ancestor who survived when they should have died. For every generation that fought and struggled and refused to give up. He threw the stone into the stream. That is worth being afraid for. The next morning, the guards came. The humans were led through long corridors filled with aliens who had come to watch the spectacle. Some cheered. Some pointed. Some made sounds that might have been pity. Taiho walked at the front of the group. His face showed nothing, but his eyes were watching everything. They reached a massive door that led to the arena. Beyond it, they could hear the roar of the crowd. Millions of aliens waiting to see them die. An announcer's voice boomed through the speakers. And now, the main event. For the first time in menagerie history, we present the humans. Watch as these soft, clawless creatures face the deadliest predators in our collection. How long will they survive? Place your bets now. The door began to open. Light flooded in. The sound of the crowd grew deafening. Taiho turned to face the group one last time. Remember who you are, he said. Remember what you are. They think they know the ending of this story. They are wrong. The door opened fully. The humans walked into the arena. And the cage opened. The arena was larger than any stadium on Earth. It stretched for kilometers in every direction, filled with forests and hills and rivers. Artificial sunlight beat down from panels in the ceiling far above. Cameras floated everywhere, capturing every angle for the billions of viewers watching across the galaxy. The humans emerged from their gate and immediately moved into the tree line. They did not scatter. They did not panic. They moved together like a single organism. This was the first surprise. In the viewing chambers high above, Overseer Vreth leaned forward. He had watched hundreds of trials. Prey species always reacted the same way. They ran in different directions. They screamed. They made it easy. These creatures were different. Interesting, he murmured to his aide. They have some discipline. It will not save them, but it is interesting. In the arena, Taiho led the group to a defensive position on a small hill. From here, they could see the other gates. 3 of them. Each one held a predator waiting to be released. Remember the plan, Taiho said. We face them one at a time if we can. The serpent first. Then the pack. The Goroth last. They waited. The crowd grew restless. This was not what they had paid to see. Where was the running? Where was the fear? Finally, the first gate opened. The Sketh emerged like flowing water. It was 12 meters long, covered in scales that shifted between green and black. Its eyes were pale and dead, like stones. Its tongue flickered constantly, tasting the air. The crowd cheered. The serpent raised its head and turned toward the humans. It could feel their heat from a kilometer away. 47 warm bodies clustered together. Easy prey. It began to move, but the humans did not run. Instead, they split into 3 groups. 1 group stayed on the hill. 2 groups moved to flank, circling wide through the trees. The serpent was confused. Prey did not do this. Prey ran in straight lines. Prey did not spread out and surround their hunters. It chose to attack the largest group on the hill. It was fast. Terrifyingly fast. It covered the distance in seconds, its body coiling and launching forward like a spring. The humans on the hill scattered just before it struck. The serpent hit empty ground, its fangs sinking into dirt instead of flesh. Before it could recover, the flanking groups attacked. Jinho led one team. They came from the left, throwing rocks and sharpened sticks. The stones bounced off the serpent's scales, but that was not the point. The point was distraction. From the right, Do-Hyun's team moved in close. They had one target, the gills on the creature's neck. The serpent whipped around, trying to track multiple threats at once. Its instincts were screaming at it. Something was wrong. This was not how prey behaved. Minji was the first to reach it. She had been a sprinter in university. Now she sprinted toward the deadliest creature she had ever seen, a sharpened bone in her hand. She ducked under its striking head and drove the weapon into the soft tissue behind its jaw. The serpent screamed. It had never made that sound before. It had never felt pain like this. It thrashed wildly, throwing Minji back. But the damage was done. Blue blood was pouring from the wound. More humans closed in. More weapons found the vulnerable spots. The neck, the gills. The soft belly died in under 3 minutes. The Sketh lay dead. The arena fell silent. Millions of aliens stared at their screens in disbelief. The humans had not run. They had not hidden. They had attacked the predator and killed it. Overseer Vreth was on his feet. His mandibles were clicking so fast they made a buzzing sound. "What is happening?" he demanded. "They are prey. Prey does not do this." Before anyone could answer, the second gate opened. The Varn came out in a pack of 6. They were built like wolves but larger, with black fur and yellow eyes. They spread out immediately, trying to surround the humans like they had been bred to do. But the humans were ready. They had gathered wood during the brief pause between fights. Now Somi gave the order, and fire bloomed to life. The Varn stopped. They knew fire. Fire was danger. Fire was death. The humans did not wait. They began to move forward, carrying their torches like weapons. They were not running from the pack. They were chasing it. The Varn's instincts took over. Something was chasing them. Something that carried death in its hands. They began to retreat, snarling and snapping but backing away. The humans kept coming. They drove the pack into a narrow canyon between 2 hills. Somi had chosen this spot from Fenric's descriptions. The walls were steep and loose. When the Varn were deep in the canyon, Taiho gave the signal. Humans on the ridges began to push boulders. The rocks tumbled down, crashing into the pack below. 2 Varn were crushed instantly. A third was trapped under a stone, howling in pain. The remaining 3 tried to escape. They ran into the forest, desperate to get away from these impossible prey creatures. The humans followed. This was the part the aliens could not understand. The part that made no sense to their predator-prey logic. The humans were slower than the Varn. Much slower. But they did not stop. They ran at a steady pace, tracking the creatures through the forest. When the Varn stopped to rest, the humans appeared. When the Varn changed direction, the humans adjusted. Hour after hour, the chase continued. The crowd watched in growing horror. They had come to see a hunt. They were watching one. But the hunters and prey were reversed. One by one, the Varn fell. Exhausted, terrified, unable to understand why the chase never ended. The humans caught up to each one and finished them with rocks and sharpened sticks. By the time the last Varn died, 6 hours had passed. The arena was silent again. Then the third gate opened. The Gorath emerged like a nightmare made flesh. It was 3 meters tall at the shoulder, covered in plates of natural armor that could stop energy weapons. Its 6 limbs ended in claws that gleamed like black metal. Its roar shook the ground. This was the creature that had never been defeated. The ultimate predator. The pride of the menagerie. The humans looked small and fragile against it. Their weapons were pathetic. Their numbers meant nothing, but they did not run. Taiho stepped forward. Alone, the Goroth focused on him. It had killed thousands of creatures. This soft thing was nothing. It charged Taiho threw a stone at its eye. Then he turned and ran, not in panic, not in fear. He ran just fast enough to stay ahead, just slow enough to keep the Goroth chasing. Behind him, the other humans spread out. They began to do what their ancestors had done for 200,000 years. They hunted. They harassed the Goroth from all sides. Stones and sticks and sharpened bones. None of the wounds were serious. None of them would have mattered on their own, but there were so many. The creature bled from a dozen cuts, then 2 dozen, then 50. It roared and charged and swung its massive claws. Sometimes it connected. 3 humans died in the first hour. 7 more were injured, but the attacks never stopped. Every time the Goroth paused to rest, they came at it again. Every time it turned to face one threat, 3 more appeared behind it. The night cycle came. The arena lights dimmed to simulate darkness. The Goroth tried to sleep. The humans did not let it. They worked in shifts, always moving, always attacking, never giving the creature a moment of peace. By dawn, the Goroth was stumbling. Its armor was cracked in places. Its movements were slow and clumsy. The light in its eyes was fading. Taiho approached it one final time. The creature that had never known fear looked at him. And Taiho saw something in those alien eyes. Something he recognized. The Goroth was afraid. "You have never faced anything like us," Taiho said quietly. "Nothing in this galaxy has. We are not the fastest or the strongest. But we do not stop. We never stop. And that is why you lose." He raised his weapon. The final blow was almost merciful. The Goroth fell. The ground shook with its impact. And then there was silence. Complete, absolute silence across the entire menagerie. Across the ships watching from orbit. Across the billion screens showing the broadcast throughout the Dominion. The announcer's voice came on, shaking and uncertain. The humans have won. All 3 predators are dead. The humans have survived. In the viewing chamber, Overseer Vreth stood frozen. His translator device was picking up something strange. A new sound from the arena. The humans were singing. It was a simple song. A victory song. Something ancient from their world. And in that moment, Vreth understood. They had made a terrible mistake. They had not captured prey. They had captured something far worse. The word spread across the Dominion like fire. The humans had won. It was impossible. It defied everything the Veleth knew about predator and prey. For thousands of years, they had collected species from across the galaxy. They had built their understanding of life on one simple truth. Creatures with claws and fangs and armor were predators. And everything else was food. The humans had broken that truth in a single night, on hundreds of worlds. Other captive species watched the broadcast. They saw creatures with soft skin and no natural weapons stand against 3 of the deadliest predators in existence. They saw those creatures win. Something changed in the menagerie that day. Something that Overseer Vreth could feel but not understand. The humans were returned to their habitat, but it was different now. The aliens who passed by did not laugh anymore. They stared with something new in their eyes. Fear. Taiho counted their losses. 10 dead, 23 injured, some seriously. Yuna worked through the night, saving those she could. When morning came, Somi approached Taiho. "This is not over," she said. "They will not let us stay here. We are too dangerous now. Too inspiring. What do you think they will do? Kill us quietly. Make it look like an accident. Erase the recordings and pretend it never happened." Taiho nodded slowly. He had been thinking the same thing. Then we need to move first. The plan came together quickly. They had learned so much about the menagerie during their captivity. The guard schedules, the layout of the station, the locations of ships and escape routes, and they had allies now. Fenric came to them in the dead of night, his pale blue face tight with fear. "They are coming for you," he whispered through the barrier. "Tomorrow, they will use gas to put you to sleep, then dispose of you. Vreth has given the order. Can you help us?" Somi asked. Fenric hesitated. He was a scholar, not a fighter. He had spent his whole life following orders, but something had changed in him too. Watching the humans fight had awakened something he thought had died long ago, hope. "Yes," he said. "I can disable the gas system. I can open the barriers. But after that, you are on your own. That is all we need." The uprising began at midnight. Fenrik kept his word. The barriers fell. The gas never came. And 47 humans poured out of their habitat like water through a broken dam. But they were not alone. As they moved through the corridors, other barriers fell. Other species emerged from their cages. Creatures from 100 different worlds, all of them watching, all of them remembering what they had seen in the arena. They joined the humans. An army of the captured. An army of the forgotten. An army of creatures who had been told they were nothing. The Veleth guards were not prepared for this. They were not prepared for humans who fought with improvised weapons and coordinated tactics. They were not prepared for the rage of species who had spent years being displayed for entertainment. They were not prepared for Jinho, who moved through them like a storm. His fear finally transformed into something unstoppable. The fighting was brutal. Taiho led the main group toward the docking bays. They needed a ship, something fast enough to escape before the Dominion could respond. Eunice stayed behind with the wounded, setting up a field hospital in a captured section of the station. When Vela soldiers tried to retake the area, she picked up a weapon and stood with the defenders. The doctor, who had sworn to do no harm, discovered that there were some things worth fighting for. Somi guided them through the maze of corridors, her mind holding the map she had built piece by piece over months of observation. She led them past traps and ambush, always one step ahead. They lost people along the way. Good people. Brave people. Each death was a wound that would never fully heal, but they kept moving. Finally, they reached the main control center. Vreth was waiting for them. He stood in the middle of the room, surrounded by his personal guard. His mandibles were still. His body was tense. For the first time in his long life, he looked uncertain. "Stop this madness," he said through his translator. "You cannot win. Even if you escape this station, the Dominion will hunt you down. You will never reach your homeworld." Taiho stepped forward. His clothes were torn and stained with blood, some of it his own. His body ached from a dozen wounds, but his eyes were clear. "We did not come here to negotiate," he said. "Then you came to die." "No, we came to deliver a message." Vreth tilted his head. "What message?" "Earth is not a zoo exhibit," Taiho said. "Earth is not a hunting ground. Earth is not yours to take. You looked at us and saw prey. You were wrong. Every predator on our world learned that lesson. Now you have learned it too." Somi stepped up beside him. "You asked me once what makes a predator," she said. "It is not claws. It is not fangs. It is not armor. It is will. The will to fight. The will to survive. The will to keep going when everything says you should stop." She looked directly at Vreth. "You should have studied our history. You should have seen what we did to the creatures that thought they were above us. We drove them to extinction, not because we were stronger, because we were stubborn, because we never, ever gave up." Jinho raised his weapon. "We are going to take one of your ships now. We are going to go home. And if you try to stop us, we will do what humans have always done to things that threaten us." He smiled, and there was nothing soft about it. "We will survive. And you will not." The guards looked at Vreth. Vreth looked at the humans. He stepped aside. Fenric helped them take a ship. A fast scout vessel designed for long-range travel. It was not meant for so many passengers, but they made it work. As they lifted off from the menagerie, other ships began to launch around them. Other escaped prisoners. Other species finding their way home. The Dominion was in chaos. The greatest empire in the galaxy had been humbled by creatures they had dismissed as harmless. The journey home took months. They rationed food and water. They repaired the ship with improvised parts. They took turns sleeping in shifts, never quite believing they were really free. When they finally saw Earth on the view screen, nobody spoke. The blue marble hung in space. Small and fragile and impossibly beautiful. Teho stood at the viewport. Yuna came to stand beside him. "Do you think they will come back?" she asked. "The Velith?" Teho watched the clouds swirling over the Pacific. "Maybe," he said. "Probably. We showed them what we are, and that is dangerous. They will either fear us forever or try to destroy us. What do? We prepare. We build. We become ready for whatever comes next." He turned to look at her. "We survived the menagerie. We survived the arena. We survived things that were supposed to be impossible. If they come for us, they will learn the same lesson we taught them before." Yuna smiled. "That we do not stop. That we never stop." The ship descended through the clouds. Years later, a young Vela scholar was studying the archives. She was curious about the incident that had changed everything. The uprising that had begun the slow collapse of the Dominion's confidence. She found the file on humans. It had been updated many times since that day. The warning at the top was written in red, the color of urgent danger. The entry read, "Species, human origin, Sol 3, Earth. Classification, apex predator, persistence type. Biological advantages, minimal technological level, early spacefaring. Threat assessment, Eturium notes. Humans possess no significant natural weapons. Their skin is soft. Their bodies are slow and fragile. Initial contact classified them as a prey species. This classification was incorrect. Humans are persistence predators. They do not rely on speed or strength. They outlast their prey through endurance, coordination, and an absolute refusal to surrender. They will chase a target for days without rest. They adapt to any environment. They form complex social bonds that make them function as a single organism. Warning: do not underestimate. Do not engage unless necessary. Do not attempt capture or collection. Humans are not the strongest species in the galaxy. They are not the fastest. They are not the deadliest but they do not stop. They never stop. And that is why, when the cage opens, you should pray you are not inside with them. The scholar closed the file. She looked up at the stars, visible through her window. Somewhere out there, on a small wet planet orbiting a yellow sun, the humans were waiting. She shuddered and returned to her studies. Some things were better left alone.